Good evening, Mr. Hunt.
Are you sure your line is secure?
I got it. Oh man, do I got it.
Central Intelligence Cinema now has a secure line to the IMF.
Benji?
Join the IMF. See the world on a monitor in a closet.
Line's not long enough! No! Yeah.
That doesn't sound impossible.
Next time, I gotta seduce the rich guy. What are you waiting for? I'm jumping out a window!
Well, this is not mission difficult, Mr. Hunt. It's mission impossible. Difficult should be a walk in the park for you.
Central Intelligence Cinema presents Road to Reckoning.
You can understand you're very upset. Kittredge, you've never seen me very upset.
Sir, Hunt is the living manifestation of destiny.
This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Welcome to episode 52 of the Central Intelligence Cinema podcast, where we come to the very end of the Road to Reckoning with our Part 2 review of Mission Impossible Fallout. Take it away, Mr. Brosnan.
Beg your pardon, forgot to knock.
Welcome to the CIC, initiating security clearance.
My name is Napoleon Solo. Bond. James Bond.
Natasha Romanoff.
Ethan Hunt.
Felix Leiter.
Ilsa Faust. Identity confirmed.
Now, pay attention, 007.
Welcome to Central Intelligence Cinema, a podcast dedicated to spy movies and secret agent pop culture.
Your mission, should you decide to accept it.
You expect me to talk?
I'm in the middle of an interrogation. This moron is giving me everything.
Yeah, baby!
Special agent, you're not having a very special day, are you?
But remember, nothing ever goes according to plan.
Tom, what do you think you're doing?
Keeping the British hand up, sir. This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Recording from an undisclosed city where a 56-year-old man just broke his ankle trying to jump from rooftop to rooftop. What is he doing? It's the Central Intelligence Cinema Podcast. I'm Ben Esslinger, and with me, as should always be the case, Jason Greenberg.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben. That poor guy, man.
He's a 56-year-old man jumping from a rooftop to another rooftop.
You know, it reminds me of that scene in The Dark Knight or Rise of the Dark. What is that? Hold on a second. How do I not know what The Dark Knight is? The last Dark Knight movie where he goes to the doctor and the doctor's like, your cartilage is completely worn out.
Right.
Your legs shouldn't work, and I absolutely cannot recommend you do base jumping spelunking or whatever it was that he was doing.
Right.
Can you imagine what an MRI of Tom Cruise would look like at this point in time?
Oh goodness.
I mean, he's probably like, it's not even like bone in there anymore. It's probably just like powdered jelly so it can cushion the impacts.
Well, you forget, though, that there are synthetic materials inside of Tom Cruise.
That is correct.
Because, after all, he is a cyborg, and therefore...
That's true.
He's probably got some metal stuff in there.
Tri-titanium alloys.
Indeed.
Polymimetic metals. A full
Some
titanium end exoskeleton.
Carbon fiber protectant.
Oh,
type.
And Vaseline. There's probably a lot of Vaseline. Well, hey, folks, welcome back to part 2 of our review of Mission Impossible Fallout.
Whew. We're at the end.
We're at the end. It's been a slog.
To the end of the road, still I can't let go.
Oh, I'm ready to let go. Believe me, I am ready to let go.
Indeed.
When we first posited this Road to Reckoning thing, I don't think even we fully anticipated the extent with which it would absorb our lives, which it quite literally seems to have.
It kind of does.
But we appreciate that all of you have gone through the trotting down the road right along there with us.
Indeed. And our tens of listeners have been right there with us, hanging out, laughing along the way.
And hopefully just as relieved that we're finally at the end as we are.
Indeed.
So what do you say, Ben? Should we get this thing knocked out so we can get on to other things?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. So, when last we left our fateful band of heroes.
That's right.
Technically, two of those faithful band of heroes. We had just left Ethan and Ilsa discussing the potential pitfalls of trying to get out of the MI6.
Yes, and also a lot of apologizing and, I'm sorry I ran over you with the car.
Yeah. Are you okay?
All that sort of thing.
I mean, you got to imagine if this is foreplay for them. I'm just saying.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
What are we in for in Dead Reckoning?
No doubt. But, of course, there's that other player in Dead Reckoning who shall remain nameless, but her initials are Haley Atwell. Could she be a potential monkey wrench in this plan? But anyway, we're not here to talk about Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, which if you go by our current thing, when we review Dead Reckoning Part 1, we'll have 2 parts, and Part 2 will have 2 parts. So Dead Reckoning Part 1 and 2 will actually be in 4 parts.
That's right.
So for those of you who are keeping score, write that down, figure out the math, let us know how it all works out.
All right.
Anyway, so as we jump back into this thing, we're in what looks kind of like the Grand Palais where they were having the party out there. We see Lane over there talking with Julia, and she turns and she looks very distressed as she's looking at Ethan. And believe me, it's hard to get Michelle Monaghan's face to look distressed because she's such a lovely, impish young lady.
Well, I mean, she is standing there with Lane.
Well, and
Lane's rather upsetting.
Especially when he's trying to tell you something important.
His presence is somewhat disturbing.
Yeah, so I mean, if you know that's Lane there, then maybe you're like, I can understand why you're upset.
Yes.
But, surprise, surprise, it's another dream.
Interesting that... are there any other dream sequences in the Mission Impossible? I'm trying to remember if there were any previous to this. There were hypothetical situations, but I don't know if there are any other dream things.
I don't recall any. It's so weird that we keep doing this. Why I asked in the last podcast for Part 1, is he like developing powers of prescience where he can see the future?
Right.
Because these are all like prophetic dreams. I'm like, is this Muad'Dib? Is he really on Dune in Dead Reckoning in the dirt on the horse? Because I'm going to tell you right now, as a Dune aficionado, there are no horses on Dune. Only worms.
That's right.
Only worms. Anyway, so it's a dream. Ethan snaps awake very much like he snapped awake in the first dream from the beginning of the movie.
And interestingly enough, he tends to have this tendency to fall asleep in vans. Have you noticed that?
Well, yeah, but then again, there's a lot of vans in Mission Impossible.
That is true. I mean,
the odds are in favor he's going to fall asleep in one.
Exactly, because he's constantly in one. So, because he snaps awake in a van when they're in Ghost Protocol, too.
Yes.
He nods off in a van there.
But you know what's funny? It's there's almost that undercurrent of he's comfortable enough with the people there to actually fall asleep.
And yet, he fell asleep with Lane right next to him.
Right.
Two of his, actually, both of them are his enemies, Lane and Walker.
Right. Although I don't know, you think he's figured that out at this point yet?
I don't know if he's figured that part out, but I mean, he certainly doesn't consider Walker to be...
He's not a part of the team.
He's definitely not a part of the team.
So Ethan gets a phone call. It's Vanessa asking if he's in London and ready to meet the courier. How much does a courier get to haul around nuclear material, do you think? Is there a special rate for that?
I got to think there's a premium on that one.
I mean, it's like a hazardous material charge.
There's got to be a load of charges. I mean, just think about cable.
True. And they get you, it's like those back-end charges you don't see until you get the monthly bill.
That's right. It's terrible.
I don't know. Well,
that's why I just went strictly to streaming after that. Anyway.
I just want to make sure that this courier is going to be compensated fairly for the imminent danger they're placing themselves in. Because despite what you may think, you can't walk around with a plutonium sphere and not get radiation from it. There, I said it. Anyway, Ilsa is at the same cafe, listening in and tracking Ethan's phone. The team rolls up into some dingy old bunker thing, which we will, of course, call Exposition Barge number 3 at this point?
I believe it's 3.
Number 3, very undisclosed, very location-y, very on brand for the Mission Impossible series.
Yes.
Because as I
complete. Now, this one does have...
Correct. It's got the jail.
It's got the jail
cell. It's got the dingy bad lighting. It's got the long hallway to nothing.
Well, it looks, I don't know, it's almost catacomb, but not a catacomb.
Right. It almost feels reminiscent to me of the facility or the area that they had M locked up in was it the one with Sophie Marceau?
Oh, that's The World Is Not Enough.
The World Is Not Enough. I knew it had like a string of nonsense words to make up a title. But That one had kind of like the cage and like the stone walls. There's no real hallway.
Yeah.
The jail kind of gave me the M vibe. So I was looking to see if there was a clock or a bench
right.
or something that she could use for something, but there wasn't anything like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, Hunley is there waiting for them in his fine suit, being very Alec Baldwin-y.
Yes.
And I'm like, he shows up at the thing. He could put on leisure wear, something more practical. I'm going to come in the suit.
In the full suit.
Full suit, because
he's a company man.
It's my identity. It's who I am.
I guess. If you say so.
Last time I was involved in a spy caper, I was wearing a naval uniform. That was a suit too. Had a tie and everything. I didn't shoot though, because things tend to get cranky when you shoot with them in nuclear missile subs. I don't know. Okay. I think I've taken the Hunt for Red October as far as it can go.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Hunley is there waiting for him. And boy, is he pissed off.
Yes.
Because allegedly Lark is dead. Allegedly. So they knock Lane out, stick him in a cell, and add a camera to it. The same little
boop
little
camera.
disky cam that now actually has a purpose.
Yeah. Well, apparently just keep an eye on him or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Or so we think is the only purpose.
Well, things could change in a hot minute.
Indeed.
Ethan finishes explaining what happened and tells him that now the plan is to meet with Vanessa and exchange Benji, who will be disguised as Lane, for the missing plutonium. So effectively still going through the same motions of the plan, just altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further. Once again, we get the classic Walker eye roll.
Right. As soon as he mentions masks or implies that a mask is involved, he's just like, oh, really?
If this was an 80s sitcom, there'd be a laugh track cue after that for sure. That's Walker's equivalent. Did I do that? And Benji's like, why?
Yeah, for once he doesn't want to wear a mask.
Yeah.
He's like, how are you going to protect me? Like, why me?
Right. And then he looks over at Luther, and Luther's like, look at me. And then he's like, look at you. Except he doesn't say it. He's just doing it in a way that sounds like he's saying it because it's Ving Rhames and you can't not hear it.
Right.
But Benji's kind of like, okay, fair point. Fair point.
Right.
The plan would have Walker staying behind to guard Lane, which he is super unhappy about.
Yeah.
But Ethan then mentions that their other problem is that Ilsa is out there trying to kill Lane as well.
Which makes Benji really not want to wear the mask because he's like, oh, great. So now Ilsa's going to kill me.
Right. Hunley then explains that the meeting is a trap set up by Vanessa because she's actually working with the CIA to get everything they want all at once. Lark, the Apostles, Lane, and the plutonium. Hunley then starts to build the case that Ethan is Lark and does a pretty good job of conveying how pissed off he is that he feels like he's been betrayed by Ethan's faith and trust. He then provides a file that provides all the damning information linking Hunt to the smallpox outbreak, along with all the other stuff, and Ilsa is now a target as well. Ethan asks, where the information comes from. Hunley's like, well, it comes straight from the CIA. Where'd the CIA get the information from? Then there's a cut to Walker, because we all know that Walker was the one who fed the information.
Right.
I think we all figure out at this point, even the slow learners watching the movie, Walker's the bad guy here. Hunley then basically explains that he has to bring in Lane and Ethan to save Ethan's life. Ethan does the, can't you see it?
Oh,
can't
God.
you see it?
Oh, my God. I told you. I swear to God, if there's one in Dead Reckoning, I might walk out of... No, I won't walk out of the theater.
It's going to happen.
I won't walk out of the theater. I'll just have a drink ready, and just anytime I hear that, I'm just going to take a shot and then move on.
It's got to have it, because with Zerny coming back in,
right?
He's going to say it to him, probably.
Oh, probably. I mean, the things I can now begin to count on happening in Mission Impossible movies. We're probably going to get a mask. We're probably going to get an exposition barge.
We're probably going to get a box truck or
We're probably
van.
going to get a box truck or van, and then we're probably going to get Ethan saying, "Can't you see it?"
I mean, it's just as what does Q say to pay attention 007?
Pay attention 007.
You're definitely going to get one of those in every one of the Bond ones, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, Ethan goes in as, can't you see it? I'm going to go manic and try and convince you. Is there a couch anywhere I can jump up and down on while I'm doing this? Probably not. And then presents his argument that turning them is the trap and that Lane is actually counting on that to happen. Now, this scene and what we just talked about illustrates the fact that why can't these people just fucking trust Ethan Hunt?
Because he knows.
Every time he has a hunch and says, can't you see it? Why don't you just go, you know what? I don't, but you clearly do. and let's just roll with this because we've got 5 previous episodes that say
That prove
that you know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
And it's just, I think that's the one thing I hate the most is that he has to continually prove his ability to see the future. And now we clearly can see from this movie that he can see the future. So why is anybody questioning? The question Henley should have been asking is, so tell me, Ethan, what are going to be the winning lotto numbers for the DC lottery when we get back? Hunley then states that he's choosing to save the IMF over Ethan, sort of turning the tables around. The goods of the many outweigh the goods of the one.
Right.
The needs of the many, needs of the few, needs of the one. Sorry, Star Trek people out there, I apologize. And that if Ethan doesn't cooperate, Walker is basically there to take him out of the picture.
Yeah, because he's like, what do you think he's there for?
Yeah, it was great. Why do you think he's here?
This is Erica Sloane's #1 plumber.
Plumber.
That's such a great name
It is.
for it.
And again, anybody but Alec Baldwin delivering that line would have sounded ridiculous.
Right.
But he sells it.
Oh, absolutely.
Call Walker Rooter, that's the name. Away go your troubles down the drain in blood. Hunley then gives Hunt a direct order as a secretary to come quietly, and Ethan uses a stun gun on him.
It's like, I'm sorry, boss, but too bad. Pam.
I can see it. You can't. At that point, he starts asking Walker to help coordinate the trade for the plutonium, and he's in. He basically says, I'm still your best chance of getting the plutonium back.
Right. We've still got 2 cores in the wind.
Right. But this one, I still had to scratch my head a little bit. Walker knows he's blown, or must beginning to suspect
he's got to be
blown.
able to suspect it a little bit.
And we know we'll learn further on that there's a reason why he has to continue with the charade.
Right.
But it just feels like he was very willing to dive right in and do what he needed to do.
It's definitely one of those like little moments where they tried to do it as fast as they could so that people didn't stop to think about it too much.
Yeah, and I suppose he needed to be there for Lane and some other things too. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess it all works out. But it just, I don't know. We got such a good feel from him. The performance he was giving was kind of like, I just felt very lackluster. Like maybe he was tired. Maybe he just finished shooting his Superman scenes. It's like, man, I've been in a wire all day. Now I got to go back and cock the guns and I don't know. Anyway, they put the mask on Benji, and we get one of those clever little back-to-back masky, switchy, changey moments.
Yeah, it was pretty clever. I didn't see a behind the scenes about how they did it, and I still can't figure out how they did it, unless it's a little bit of actual CG.
It's CG.
Yeah.
I think everything was realistic. They had Simon Pegg there putting on the mask. They did all that, and then they just put in the CGI.
Yeah. What they might have also done, too, is the way that it was blocked, they could have literally just... They have video of Lane in the right quadrant of the screen, and Benji's Lane, who is actually also Sean Harris, in the left quadrant of the screen, so that you get both of them in the same thing, and it's just a little bit of editing trickery without a whole lot of CGI. But
you could have done that whole thing with mirrors if you wanted to. I mean,
yeah.
It's definitely doable.
I'm guessing it's just,
but it's not
a little bit of post production there. I think
it wasn't one of the more clever ways of them to get through it. It didn't feel as seamless. It felt kind of forced.
Yeah.
But anyway, at the end of it, we're down with double lanes, a 2-lane highway, as it were. So we get this very telling moment where Walker is looking at Lane's cell, but you only see Lane in there, so the footage is on a loop. So that's why the camera was really in there, was to do the false while they did the switch.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Walker is fooled. Woo! The team leaves, and as soon as they're out of sight, Walker opens up his big bag. Hey, baby, here's my big bag. And he's basically got everything, really. I mean, he's got a tracker removal kit. He's got a knife.
Yeah, it's a bag of tricks.
He's got a whole thing full of vials. Essentially, the one he pulls out of vial is essentially the antidote to unknock out Lane, which, when it goes into his neck, is kind of funny.
He kind of takes that deep breath inward to like, whoa.
Look at Benji took some acting classes while he was at field agent school.
That's right.
He walks into the cell, gives a shot to Lane, who immediately wakes up. Walker's like, all right, let's go. But Lane isn't done with Hunt yet. I'm not done with Hunt yet. Walker finally reveals himself to be Lark, which, to nobody's surprise.
Right.
Saying that the deal they made was that he would frame Hunt to be Lark, and that Lane, in exchange for this, would give Walker the plutonium. Lane then starts reeling off part of the manifesto, and Walker is like, when I wrote those words, I didn't mean your piece.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, so you're a writer too. Okay, very good. Very good. You know, I kill people for a living. I'm very violent and mostly solve all of my disputes with violence, but in my heart, I'm a soft, quiet soul who likes to write poetry and paint bluebirds.
These are my thoughts. There's a part in Grosse Point Blank. That's what I was thinking of when the bully.
These are my thoughts. Roses are okay.
That's great. Sounds great.
Oh
it's
my
amazing.
God, it's great. It's amazing. At this point, suddenly Walker realizes he's not talking to the real Lane and literally rips the mask off, revealing Benji underneath.
Yeah, quite almost disturbing for a half second there, because I was just like, oh.
Yeah, we don't get the normal pull it around the head reveal. He's just like, wrench.
right in half. Like,
and there's Benji, hello.
Oh, sorry.
But Hunley pops up right behind him with a gun. Walker turns around, disarms him, tries to shoot him twice, but clickety-click, no bullets in that gun.
Oh!
And then Hunley pulls out another one. Like, I don't know where, like a quick draw, right? He didn't even pull it out of his suit pocket. He's like, maybe this one's loaded. He pops out and points over at him.
Right.
And I'm just like, you know, even with a loaded gun at your hip like that, I still feel like Walker could pulverize you.
It's because it's Walker.
Right, but he did. I think what happens, you didn't have time to cock the pistols.
That's right. He didn't have the time to do that. Didn't load the guns.
So Hunley got the drop on him.
That's right.
Walker tries to talk his way out of it, but it doesn't work because I think Hunley has a little bit of information that Walker doesn't know Hunley has. You think? Hunley then shows that he's got Sloane listening live on her phone, which so basically the jig is up.
Right.
You know, Walker realizes, oh shit, so she was in on it the whole time.
Right. And I love that little moment where Sloane's like, I don't appreciate being used, Walker. And then it cuts to Luther and he's like, oop, bad boy.
But Sloane, being the CIA wink that she is, doesn't trust anybody and just says, well, you know, I'm going to take care of this myself. And then in come all the CIA agents, hot. And, but it turns out they're not all CIA because some of them are Larksmen who then start shooting the CIA guys. So we got the flip of the flip here.
Right.
Lots of flipping going on here.
Lots of flipping. And then you've got the X Factor too, because then Ilsa pops.
Yeah, Ilsa pops into their
just kind
undisclosed
of in the shadows,
location with her little automatic pew-pews. So she's shooting at people. The IMF is shooting at people.
Everybody's shooting at everybody.
CIA is shooting at people. And there's a lot of wall columns getting hit by bullets, but not a lot of people getting hit by them.
So much damage to wall columns. That's another thing about Mission Impossible movies. Guarantee there's going to be so much damage to wall columns.
No doubt. Just walls in general.
Right.
Walls and windows.
Yes. Oh, God.
Nothing is safe if you're in a wall or a window.
That's right.
So Ethan is about to get shot by Walker, but Hunley steps in and starts fighting him, which I'm going to give full marks to Alec Baldwin in this one. He was landing some body blows like a boxer in there.
He did look convincing.
He looked like he was capable of doing what he was doing.
Well, and here's the thing that I'd like to remind our tens of listeners is that Alec Baldwin is only maybe 5 years older than Tom Cruise.
Right.
They're really pretty close in age. So he should be pretty capable still. I mean, granted, Tom Cruise is like this robot that we've established that.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, for a normal human being.
For a normal human being, he does all right.
Right. And I mean, he used to be kind of an action hero, but he hasn't been for like 20 years.
Right.
So he didn't look like he could convincingly beat Henry Cavill if Henry Cavill was drunk with both arms tied behind his leg. But he did convince me that he actually had some fighting skills.
Right.
That he didn't just look like he was going to go down like a patsy.
Right.
Because, I mean, like if he had been punching the tree trunk of a torso that Henry Cavill has, that might have gone a different way.
Right.
Right. But no, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He pulls out a knife. And
stabby.
And not even just one stabby. It was a stab, pull in, stab more, dead. And this also goes to one of my gripes about gut stabs don't always kill you.
Well, they certainly don't kill you right away.
No, they usually are long drawn out
horrible
things.
deaths that take probably weeks.
So, you know, If he'd stabbed him in the heart, maybe, but then there wouldn't have been the, my son, go get him, my son. I mean, if he'd done a Brando voice, it couldn't have been any more perfect. But he goes down to the floor. Walker ends up using Luther as a shield for a hot minute, but Luther grabs a tracker injection thingy, and just as he's flying out, hits him with it, and then he lets Luther go and he runs off. They all go to Hundley, who's about to die. Benji going first, of course, because that's his job in this. Is I'm not obviously the action portion of this. I need to go check on the dying guy.
Right.
But they all get over there. And when they get to Hundley, who is clearly dying, he gives them the Brando.
Which is funny, too, because during this Brando moment, there's still shooting going on. There's all this...
Because Ilsa is still engaged with the other guys. But Ethan, who needs to get after Walker, is about to go, but Luther tags him with the tracker as well. Ilsa, meanwhile, kills the last guy who's getting ready to shoot Ethan.
Right.
And for an agent who claimed to have been aiming for a chest and shooting ahead, she seems very accurate. Maybe the pistol's the problem.
It could just be the sight.
I mean, you put a rifle in her hand, and she's all like, pating, patang, patong. Put a pistol, she's like, nope, all over. All over. So here's the running part of the movie.
That's the one other thing that you're always going to see in a mission movie. I don't care if Tom Cruise is in these movies until he's 80. He will have a running moment.
Absolutely.
And it will be more than you expect from an 80-year-old.
In my mind, if he was in like Mission Impossible 12 and his legs got removed, he would just be running on the stumps, right? Like really fast.
Just very enthusiastically.
Very enthusiastic. Give me those robot legs. Oh, wait, I already have robot legs. No. All right, so Ethan gets outside and is immediately chased by Lark's second team, who Lark calls in as he's booking out of the undisclosed location. Meanwhile, Luther, Benji, and Ilsa get into, you guessed it,
a van.
And Benji's already watching the progress between the two trackers on his funky IMF iPad.
Right.
Good thing they're color coded too. You know, green for Ethan, red for Lark. I wonder which one's the good guy and which one's the bad guy. Which one is Luke? Which one is Darth Vader? Do you think that red feels like it gets underrepresented as an evil thing in modern American cinema?
Maybe in American cinema. Here's the thing: is that if you went, these movies were geared towards Europeans, especially. I mean, certainly the UK. Red is not always necessarily the villain color over there. Right. It just kind of has become that here.
Well,
for a multitude of reasons that I will not get into.
Lightsabers. Anyway, we get this funny, awkward moment as Ethan runs into this big church with security guards on the outside and everything while these guys are chasing him, and realizes he's walked into a gigantic funeral.
A huge funeral.
Like a state funeral.
Right.
Like maybe it's a prince or at least an earl.
Right. He does the whole, Cruise is really good at this, where that thing that he does where he puts his arms out like he's trying to like control a situation.
Right. He's like, I am so sorry. And I'm like, I felt like in a Bond movie, that casket would have gotten overturned and shot full of bullets.
Oh, yeah.
But Ethan's just like...
the corpse might have even rolled out.
Right, exactly. But no, Benji's like, you got to go up.
Well, no, he just tells him to turn left. And he's like, well, I can't do that.
Oh, yeah. So because he's like, why is he running around in circles? Right. So no, he didn't. So Ethan realizes the only way to go is up. He goes up to the top of the church that they're in, finds a metal gate, which actually says way up next to the staircase as they're going up. So I'm like, well, I guess he knows which direction to go now.
There you go.
And so Ethan ends up...
way up.
It did say that. It said way up. This is the direction you
Which way is the way up?
This way. And then, like I said, Benji's like, why is he running in a circle? So Ethan gets up to the top. He's still getting directions from Benji.
Go across the street.
Yeah,
he's literally just sliding across a rooftop.
Right. It's like, I'm working on it. He has to go run across a bridge to get the other side of the street. Then he starts just lofting over like Spider-Man till he gets to that last one.
Oh, boy. That last one.
And boy, that last one cost him a little bit, huh?
Yeah. It cost him a break in shooting.
And a break in his leg.
And a break in his ankle.
And then he goes walking out. And they famously kept that scene in when he hobbles off.
Right, because...
He wasn't going to do it again.
Right, and they knew that they got the shot. He was just like, if I can just get myself out of frame,
right,
we'll use it. Because that's how damn committed he is.
That's right. It's a Cruise joint when bones are getting broken.
And he still keeps going.
going. So eventually Ethan ends up in an office building and Benji's directing him.
Yeah, it feels very Mission Impossible 3, actually. It suddenly reminded me of that scene in China, I think it is.
Yes.
When he's running and it's sort of the first instance of Benji directing his way through.
Right, because he's running over the roofs and then he has to get back down on the ground.
Right.
And he's apologizing to people in Chinese.
Yeah, exactly. Again, apologizing.
Because our Ethan is a very courteous young man.
He is a very polite.
We did a good job of raising him.
We sure did. Our little baby's all grown up.
Little baby's all grown up. So we get another, oh wait, turn left. And then he's like, left? He's like, yeah.
Oh yeah, he's like, oh, turn right. He's like, turn right? Are you sure? Oh, turn left. I had the screen lock on.
Right, he had the screen lock on. So he gets over and, he's in an office building and there's all these office workers that are just kind of looking at him. And they're all going, that guy looks a lot like Tom Cruise. And there's a lady that's sitting right next to the window he needs to go through. And she gets out and he's like, oh, thank you. And takes her chair.
It's so funny how enabling they are to him.
Right. It's Tom Cruise.
He's Tom Cruise.
He takes the chair, throws it to the window, and then Benji's like,
What are you waiting for? I'm jumping out a window! What do you mean you're jumping out of a... Oh, sorry, I had it in 2D. Good luck.
oh, I have it in 2D.
Sorry. And I love the look, too, from Ilsa in the van, just like...
Right. Well, because this is always the thing with Benji.
Yeah.
He's so caught up in it, he stops thinking about what he actually needs to be doing.
Right.
Which I guess in its way makes him a better field agent, right? Because he's a lot more, when he's in the field, he's very on point and aware.
Right. If he's playing the computer guy, then suddenly he's back to being old Benji, being the computer guy.
Right. So keep him in his good element, folks. So then we get this run across this building that crosses over the river.
I love that shot. It's just so big and wide, and to me it feels iconic. Again, great cinematography. Just they do a really good job of making use of the city in this chase. Actually, this movie's great.
Oh, it's so much easier to film well, I think, in Europe than it is here.
Yeah.
Because you have weird bridges for no apparent reason.
And that's where the history's from.
Right. But I mean, here, everything is so planned out.
Yeah.
Right? A 20-year plan for roads and this and that.
Right.
Whereas this building's been here for 800 years. This building's been here for 700 years.
So we're not moving anything.
No, we just need to build a bridge.
Right.
That makes no sense whatsoever, but there goes that bridge.
That's right.
So Ethan's running and running and running, eventually gaining on Lark, who's headed into was going into the Tate Art Museums where he was headed for. At least the sign that I saw on the building said the Tate Museum, and there were some museum-y things that I saw on the side. So I'm assuming it was a museum. Lark pulls into an unlocked side door of the Tate Museum.
Of course.
And Ethan sees him and immediately follows him inside. For some reason, random old-style metal elevator cagey thing in the building that Lark goes into.
Well, it's a spy movie. Use an old-timey elevator.
They have to have a conversation, so... You can't have a glass elevator in Spectre.
Right. You got to be able to hear each other talking.
Exactly. Because it would have been like this, and if it had been glass elevator, what is it?
Well, then you've just got Batman with Bane. And
So tell me, mister, do you think that you'll be able to survive? Yes, exactly. So Walker's heading up on the elevator. Ethan gets in just as it starts to go, jumps on the bottom, and then we kind of get a little tete between the two of them. Walker pulls out his gun, getting ready to shoot him. And I'm like, ooh, we're going to get one of those. I can shoot in between the grates of something because I'm that good a shot. But then Hunt's like, you can't do it, can you? It's like, no, Lane's not done with you. And his look of disappointment is totally like a 14-year-old kid.
God, I really want to shoot you.
But Mom won't let me.
God.
This is stupid.
This sucks.
So he turns into Napoleon Dynamite for like 30 seconds here. And he reaches into his pocket. Instead of pulling out tots, he pulls out a picture of Julia.
Yes.
And basically says, I'm her guardian angel. If I see you anywhere near her, she dies.
Right.
If I hear you're not going where I tell you to go, she dies. In essence,
if I see you again, she dies.
If the whole world blows up and explodes, she dies. And the elevator stops. Walker gets out of the elevator, walks out the thing, pushes the down button. Ethan does some little Spider-Man jumpy, swoopy, gets over there and walks out through the same door. And as he's leaving, he sees Walker get in a helicopter with Lane, and Walker gives him a little, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya.
Again, another nod to MI3.
Right.
When Philip Seymour Hoffman gets away after all that stuff. And holy cow, that shot at the end where Cruise is standing on the very top of that huge building.
Right.
And that just the ultra wide shot. I'm just like, I'm getting vertigo just watching the shot, and I'm not even up there. And
right.
I'm just like, Jesus, is he? And you know, he's not even like, I bet there's not even a safety thing on him.
Oh, there is.
You think so?
Oh, there's no way that the studio would have let him do something like that without some kind of
probably
safety thing.
some sort of because if it was windy or something.
Yeah, exactly. All it needs is one gust from that high up, and we're done with Mission Impossible movies. Or at least maybe they become the Ilsa show, which not saying I'd have a problem with that. I will make a small note out here after watching the movie twice. I did notice that the call sign numbers on Walker's helicopter did seem to spell out the letters GDEUP, which I interpreted as giddy up. So I don't know if that was like a yeehaw, we're riding off into the sunset.
Right.
But it just seemed very funny, probably random, and only somebody like me would have noticed that. But now you guys have something to look at the next time you watch this movie before you fall asleep. So we cut to Benjamin Luther, who started explaining to Ilsa how the two bombs work. So this is exposition now barge number 4. How they're interconnected, and naturally how one will blow up if the other is deactivated.
Right.
Ilsa describes it as a suicide mission, and boy, I wish we had Anthony Hopkins here to explain the difference between
Mission Difficult and Mission Impossible.
Yes, exactly. I feel like that should just echo in the background every time somebody says that. And Benji, of course, is like, we're working on it.
Again, I'm trying to remember when Tom Cruise says we're working on it. Oh, that's earlier. When they're in the other undisclosed location with Hunley, and Benji's like, how are you going to keep me safe? And he's like, I'm working on it.
Right. And I mean, I think it gets repeated twice more after we get to Kashmir. But
right.
Like I said, that should have been the alternate title. We're working on it. And I got to say, first of all, I guess I could probably save that for a little bit later on. But the bombs are ridiculous. The notion of them all having to work in this tandem and everything, it's so MacGuffin-y, plotty, stupid-y, lazy writing.
I don't know about that.
I mean,
I think they were like, how on earth can we make this as high tension as humanly possible? It's like, well, how do we make this bomb like so undifusable that, and they take out all reality. They take out, and they just go, let's build the rules around this bomb and not care what reality actually says.
Because they determined how it was going to end before they built a story around it.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But I mean, I have questions about how far the little radio that Walker's carrying has range.
Yeah.
That the fix makes any difference.
Yeah.
Just something, and I know I'm nitpicking, but
you have a point because, I mean,
he loses radio contact, but the frequency on that radio still talks to the bombs.
Right. Exactly. Ethan loses contact with his team, but then the detonator still happens to be within range.
So I feel like it's sloppy writing, honestly.
A little bit.
I feel like if you'd wanted to put a little effort into it, you could have come up with something else.
I don't even know if it's sloppy writing. I would argue that it's the nature of Mission Impossible.
You have to have an impossible mission. So
and they end up writing themselves into corners, because things happen. They can't shoot something the way they wanted it to, and
it's fair.
It's like how are we gonna sew this all up in a button?
If I have to accept running in box vans, I guess I have to accept that there's some ridiculous MacGuffin that has to be fixed or replaced or detonated or diffused in order to have an impossible mission. So I'll let it go. But there's still some bullshit nuclear bomb shit here that I'm not going to let go later. Anyway, so Luther then asks Ilsa to have a seat in a quiet moment, and we get this heartfelt explanation about who Julie is. And first reaction was, Ethan was married?
Right.
Yeah, that's why he was turning on your busted hotness, baby. your tasty new hotness, because he already had tasty new hotness over here. But her look on her face was, he was married? Yeah, he's a good guy. It's not your charms. He thinks you're hot, but it's already taken. But it turns out maybe he's not. Anyway, but he goes on to explain about Julia and how Ethan's only ever cared about 2 women, implying, of course, that she's the second.
Right.
He goes on to this whole thing about how Ethan basically almost got her killed, and goes to the whole backstory between Julia and Ethan.
Right.
And kind of where she's at now.
Yeah.
And how proud he is that his little baby's learned how to ghost himself into the world.
Oh, yeah, because Luther was actually personally responsible for teaching her how to stay ghosted.
Right, exactly. He also says that they're in this mess because Ethan wouldn't let him die.
Yeah, and that's where we get this amazing performance where he's literally on the verge of tears or kind of tearing up. He's kind of like, you took care of me, and
right.
It's my fault that we're in this mess, and like putting the blame on himself.
He's blaming himself for putting Ethan in a position where Ethan had to make that decision that Ethan is always going to make.
Despite the fact that Luther knows that Ethan's going to make that decision based on who Ethan is.
Which is why he's not blaming Ethan for being Ethan. He's pissed at himself for putting Ethan in the position to be Ethan. You know Ethan's not going to leave you there.
Right.
So why didn't you do something more actively to prevent that? Again, this movie would be over. We'd all have 2.5 hours of our life back. Probably not a 7th movie coming out with Haley Atwell, so I'll go ahead and allow it. But there is not a Mission Impossible movie that could not have been solved an hour and a half in by somebody doing one thing differently.
You're not wrong.
No.
But I mean, that goes for a lot of movies.
You're right, but I'm just saying these ones are glaring. But anyway, he then tells Ilsa if she really cared about Ethan, she would just leave because it's one less person that he's got to worry about.
Right.
And, naturally in full Ilsa style, she's like, I'm going.
Yeah. Yeah. Ethan shows up and she's immediately like,
is everyone okay? Someone die? That's the whole, she's like, I'm going with you. And he's like, motherfucker. Yeah, I know. So Ethan is like, so where do we have to go to get this going on? Benji shows up with the magic iPad again. Or maybe it's a laptop this time. I can't really remember.
I don't remember either.
It is some sort of electronic computing device that doesn't do what any other electronic computing device does. And, they're tracking him, going over 500 knots. Luther then, of course, points out, they're in an airplane. Yes, Luther. They're in an airplane at 500 knots. You're absolutely right. And they realize that through the implant thingy that they put in him earlier that he's headed to Kashmir. Cue the Led Zeppelin music. No, I'm serious. They didn't have Kashmir in that. They could have. They resisted temptation, and I'm so very happy.
It might have been cool, but it probably was a good idea.
I think it would have been overkill. A little bit overkill. Yeah. But, now that we know where we're going, we're moving on in there into Act 3.
So, Act 3. Kashmir.
Kashmir.
And they didn't even have to use a small little title thing because they just fade from
the map on
the thing, and we go right in Indiana Jones style.
It's almost as if someone put some thought into the fact that maybe the watcher could just follow along with where they're going.
Yeah. Imagine that. So now the gang are in the exposition Jeep traveling towards wherever Lane's tracker is. And they're talking about how they're going to take care of the bombs. And Benji's still trying to figure out a solution to how to deactivate the bombs without them going off.
What's he doing?
He's working on it.
He's working on it.
Luther then mentions that Lane's tracking signal just went out, and Ethan sort of deduces that that's where Lane wants them to go, was the last marker of where they saw the tracker. Which is a little much of like, oh, he's planned this all out. That's exactly where he wants us to go. Can't you see?
But it's less about that and more to me about, would you just leave your tracker on and not moving?
Right. I don't know.
I mean, was it so that they couldn't get... I could see the logic.
Maybe they couldn't get a specific location.
Maybe that's it. But it's just like, if you want them to go there, why wouldn't you keep showing them where to go?
Right. So they're driving and then Ilsa realizes that where they're headed is where the Nubra River is at the base of the CIC Glacier, and that a nuclear blast in that area would irradiate the largest natural irrigation system in the world, which would subsequently starve 1/3 of the entire world's population. weirdly enough, Ethan still hasn't entirely put together why the medical camp is there, aside from the fact that that's where the smallpox outbreak happened.
Right.
So he figures that part out, but he doesn't put two and two together that that's where Julia is, which I feel like he should have known that, especially given the fact that he knows
that Walker knows.
Walker knows who his wife was.
Right.
So it's a little head scratchy, but anyway, I'll allow it. So
there's a lot of things in this last part of this movie that we have to allow. Because this is basically, theoretically, it's a fourth act.
No, it very much is.
The movie should have wrapped itself up at the 2-hour mark, but nope, we're going in for more fun and excitement.
That's right. Buckle up, kids. So just then, Benji does figure out a solution, sort of, to disarming the bombs, and that essentially, after the bombs have been triggered by the detonator, they have to remove the key in the remote detonator, then cut the wires. That's the only way to do it, where one bomb doesn't set off the other one. Jason's just shaking his head over there.
My uncle... when I was maybe 8 or 9 years old, my uncle once told me that if you have to explain a joke, it's not funny. And then I heard somebody later on as a teenager, an actual comedian, say, it's not that it's not funny, you just didn't tell it right. When you have to convolute something so ridiculously to make it even remotely plausible to put your main characters in peril, maybe you're just not writing the scene right. Okay. Got my 2 cents in, moving on.
Okay. But I do love the look on Ilsa's face after learning that they have to trigger the bombs first before deactivating the bombs. It's kind of finally hitting her now that she's basically the unofficial fifth Beatle of the IMF.
Right.
You know, that this is the norm. This is just what's going to happen, over and over and over again. All this.
If Walker had been in the truck with her right then, he'd have been like, oh, are you new here?
Yeah, exactly. We then cut to Lane arming one of the bombs. And then he's talking to Lark and the Apostles about how this is where he leaves it. He's staying there. He's not going to try and... He's basically prepared to die. He's not going to get out to minimum safe distance. He's just going to see this plan through by being there. I don't know exactly.
And can I say, when he hands him the remote detonator, hands Walker the remote detonator, and he's like, this should be far enough for you to reach minimum safe distance. All I kept thinking is aliens.
Oh, yeah.
You now have
that's
15 minutes to reach minimum safe distance.
That's all I could think of as well. As soon as I heard the phrase minimum safe distance, all I could think of was alien.
You now have 2 minutes to reach minimum safe distance.
So then we cut to the head of the medical camp and the gang roll up, and immediately they start trying to track where the bomb might be. But the problem is that the medical equipment is making it hard to find an accurate signal because you've got X-ray machines and all this stuff.
MRI machines.
Yeah, all this stuff that gives off radiation
flowing around.
Yeah, but they split up. But Ethan is almost immediately seen by Julia, like right at the jump. It's like she's just right there. Ethan. And so
he's like, son of a mother-loving. Hi!
Who would have guessed that you were here? And everybody hears it on the comms, and everybody's just like, oh boy. And Ilsa's like, oh my God, is that her?
Oh my God, how do I look? Am I okay?
Do I look okay? So then Julia's new husband, who really looks like the Bizarro World version of Jake Gyllenhaal, rocks up. He's like, hi, I'm super nice and great and very good looking, but probably not as good looking as Tom Cruise at my age. Anyway.
But I'm taller. I'm definitely
taller. But he starts talking about how a guardian angel, quote unquote guardian angel, found them in Darfur and asked them to help out in Kashmir. And they pay for everything so long as it was Julia and him that headed it all off. Which, of course, is Walker setting this whole thing up so that it's his insurance package to make sure this whole thing goes through. So just then, Luther spots one of the bombs at the top of this communication antenna, and Ethan hugs Julian, and he whispers into her ear, like, I'm so sorry. And then he runs off and she's like freaked out. And,
right. Well, I like how, going back a second there, I like how when Ethan meets the husband and, introduces himself as another doctor, he totally goes into a role, right?
Oh, yeah. He plays yet another doctor.
Right. And
Dr. Frankenjensen.
Exactly. Pulls a total Fletch on him. But when she's like, and he's here on vacation. No, I'm working. And her face kind of goes, oh, fuck. It's pretty great.
Yeah. Nice, too, that they, he's talking in code and she immediately picks it up. Immediately knows that he's something bad is threatening everything.
He's not here to see me on vacation. He's here because the shit's hit the fan.
That's right. So then we cut to Lane, and he's telling Lark to take both helicopters so that no one else can get out. But then we're back, and the guys have brought down the antenna, and Ethan assigns Luther to work on dismantling it while the rest of them just kind of take off. And he's like, oh, sure, I got this. Don't worry about old Luther. Assholes. So then we see Lark plug in the key into the remote detonator as he's walking to the helicopter. And just then we see Ethan, Ilsa, and Benji rock up in the Jeep and they see Walker. And Walker then activates the countdown, and we hear about this through Luther because he's sitting right in front of the other bomb. And then they get back in the Jeep and they fly down this hill to get right down to where the helicopters are. And it's kind of interesting how we'd see Lane on the balcony of that cabin, just kind of watching this all play out.
Right.
I think he's just very confident that there's literally no way that Ethan is going to stop any of this.
Absolutely.
He feels like there's absolutely nothing.
We should have had him eating popcorn.
Yeah.
This is going very good for me.
So then Ethan jumps out of the Jeep, tells Benji and Ilsa to go find Lane and the other bombs, and then makes a run for the second helicopter, which hasn't quite taken off just yet. Ilsa's like,
what the hell is he doing?
I find it best not to look.
So then we get this stunt. Holy shit, dude. It's just bonkers to me. It's just bonkers. That's like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to climb up this rope that's attached to a helicopter way up here, and then if that wasn't enough, I'm going to let go and land on this poofy thing down at the bottom that really didn't seem to kind of catch him at all.
No, he just bounced.
He just kind of bounced. I can't imagine that felt good. I mean, I know he's, got a harness and what have you to make sure he doesn't fall to his death, but holy crap.
Again, you cannot fault this guy for committing to the bit.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting, too, on the behind-the-scenes stuff. When Tom Cruise is talking about doing this, he's talking about how it took him a long time to talk himself into actually letting go and dropping. Like, he had a really hard time getting up the sheer nerve to let go and just whatever happens. Because, there's still danger involved in that. Because if he hits that thing wrong, if he flips or gets caught up in one of the wires or something, my God. It's still bonkers to me that he's willing at 56. I wouldn't have been willing to do that at 36.
26.
At 26, maybe I would have been like, I don't know. I might be able. I was dumb at 26.
All right.
But 36, nope. 46, definitely no. Are you out of your mind?
Yeah, not to get too maudlin here, but that's why I feel like we're wrapping up the whole Mission Impossible thing here with these last two episodes.
Well, we'll see.
He eventually just becomes a secretary who doesn't die.
Yeah, no kidding. So then we see Julia walk up to Luther and she's like, how can I help? And Benji and Ilsa are like hearing this, like going, oh shit. What? No. But Luther realizes, he's like, well, where's she going to go?
Yeah.
He's
also the only one who thinks she's as competent as she actually is, other than Ethan.
Well, and he's been around the longest, so he knows her, and because he's Luther.
That's right.
So the two of them start working on the bomb, because that's Julia. And then meanwhile, Ethan is now climbing back up the rope after he has fallen. So he climbs all the way back up again. Just bonker shit. But I love I love the look of shock on the guy that's in the back seat of the helicopter when Ethan swings inside. Like, Ethan's surprised that he made it in, and he's even more surprised that he made it
Right.
in. And it's just, there's just that moment of like, what? And then the fight ensues, but it doesn't take long before Ethan knocks him right out of the helicopter and in the struggle in the back seat shoots the pilot.
Right.
So then Ethan's got to quickly climb into the front seat and try and right the helicopter before it crashes to its doom. And I love, meanwhile, we get that shot of Cavill just chilling out in his chopper, like, no big deal, just hanging out.
He's all man spread. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
The legs are as far apart from each other as they can be without doing the splits.
Right. And then meanwhile, you see in the background this helicopter just spinning around like it's ready to go into a flat spin. So what's great about this is, so he rights the helicopter. He finally manages to right the helicopter. He gets back on the comm and lets him know that he's flying the helicopter. And there's this barrage of questions that hit him from everybody that's on the channel.
Questioning the logic of him being in a helicopter.
Benji, do you copy? Ethan, where are you? I'm in a helicopter going after Walker. Oh, hold on. How did you get in the helicopter?
What, you can fly a helicopter?
Did you say helicopter? What the hell are you doing in a helicopter?
It's kind of a nice little moment there. And of course, that's exactly when the comms break up, which means they're now just trusting one another to do their part. They're just relying on blind faith in each other.
Right.
Oh, I do like how Ethan's kind of like coaching himself, like muttering to himself, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this.
Well, it's very Indiana Jonesy at that point. He's like, okay, airspeed.
Check.
Altimeter. Fuel.
Fuel.
Fuel. Do you know how to fly? Fly. Yes.
Land. Ethan then sort of puts two and two together, and he gets the idea to try and drop the payload that's on his helicopter, tries to drop it onto the top of Walker's helicopter. So he starts climbing, and then meanwhile, Luther and Julie are doing this fun little bickering where she's trying to help him, and he's like, my right, and she's like, I am on your right. No, oh, well, my left, I mean.
Right.
He's like, and they're just like going back and forth, and she's like, I'm just trying to help, and Ilsa's like, oh, I like her.
Well, the thing is she's putting on those surgeon the surgeon persona,
right?
Where she's very focused, but not being an asshole about
right,
things.
Very.
It's like, are you sure that's the choice you want me to make?
Right, and she's probably used to dealing with people because surgery is a stressful thing to do.
Right.
So,
and they're doing surgery on the bomb.
Right.
So she's dealing with her intern.
She's falling right into
her
place.
resident over here.
Right.
Okay. So I'm not an electrician. Oh, sorry, the green one.
So then we cut back to Ethan, and he's kind of teetering above Walker, and he's trying to aim this payload to land on him, but he misses. But it does send the helicopter pilot swinging the helicopter wildly back and forth, and then they navigate back up to the height that Ethan's at, and Ethan's looking over at him, and he's like, yeah, that's right, prick.
It's funny to me, when I saw this, I started thinking about where he swings onto the building. He jumps in and does the...
3.
Is it 3? And he's doing the math on the glass.
Yes.
And I'm like, so you can figure out how to swing yourself like a pendulum onto another building with a rope. But you can't do the small calculus to know that you just need to be slightly in front of him and above him to drop that, because the drag will slow it down slightly from your current speed. And I'm like, Ethan...
He's very stressed.
I know. He was
People
doing a lot
rash
of things.
decisions.
I know. But you had one shot, man. Was there not a pen you could write on the window while you're figuring that? I don't know. Maybe that was what it was. He couldn't find a pen to write on the window.
That's right. So, but I do like right after Ethan does give him that little look, Walker kind of raises an eyebrow and casually is like, oh, really? And then he pulls out the world's largest gun.
Right.
And like rat-a-tat-tats him and hits the helicopter a little bit. And then Ethan turns away quickly and nearly loses all control of the helicopter in the process.
Cavill's whole attitude in this scene in the helicopters is amazing to me, because he's conveying like, motherfucker won't die. Why won't you die? But he's just sitting there like, I'm going to go. So maybe you know this, maybe you don't. He's a big gamer guy,
right?
Henry Cavill.
Yes.
Huge gamer.
Right.
And I felt like we were getting to see his Call of Duty face.
Yeah, because I mean, I've seen those videos of him putting together the computer that he built from scratch.
Oh, yeah.
specifically for gaming.
Yeah. And I mean, he's a huge, I know he plays Warhammer. I think he's a Warcraft guy. But he's playing Call of Duty and stuff like that too. But he totally had to look at his face like, yeah. And it's ridiculous because the tracer's coming out of it, and the part when Ethan gets behind him and he's shooting at the tail, and like, oh, we're gonna go Henry Jones Sr. on this, son. I've got bad news.
They got us. So then we get back to the camp, and Ilsa then realizes that Lane knows they'd be looking for the second bomb amidst all of the medical equipment. So she theorizes that means it's not there. And so she starts going back to the village to start looking in the houses for this bomb. And then we're back with Ethan again, and he's still being pursued by the other helicopter, and his helicopter is hit several times, like you said. And then meanwhile, Benji is still going through all this medical equipment, kind of determined to find something in there, which he's not going to find anything.
He has a cute little throwaway. Like he's about to bust the lock. He's like, shoot the lock. And he's like, oh, nuclear bomb. Puts the gun back in the holster. Then grabs an air tank to bash open the lock with it.
Right. And then we see Ilsa, who's sneaking into Lane's cabin, except Lane is basically waiting for her. And holy smokes, Lane seems superpowered in this fight.
Right?
Like, he literally reaches through this wall and grabs her and then yanks her through the wall and pulls down the whole wall in the process, sending her to the floor, and then clocks her with a piece of wood that would have killed anyone.
Right.
Anybody. But, okay, it just knocks her out.
Well, the wood's made out of the same thing that the bathroom wall is made out of.
That's right.
Just more layers of it.
Right. So then we're back to the choppers. Back to the choppers.
Back to the chopper.
And Ethan is, at this point, literally trying to ram them with his helicopter, which in the behind the scenes things, they say that he got literally within feet of his blades touching the other helicopter, which is suicide. Anyway, then we're back to Luther and Julia, who have pretty much pared down the wires on the bomb and are now just waiting for Benji and Ilsa to find the other bomb. And Julia's like, other bomb?
So, did I leave that out? Sorry.
Yeah. So then we cut back to Lane's cabin, and we see that Ilsa is now tied up and gagged in a chair. And she finally wakes up and sees the bomb right in front of her. And then Lane's like kind of behind her ear, like tugging in. Can't you see there's nothing you can do? I am evil. And then we hear kind of in the distance Benji. So then Ilsa starts trying to kind of scream through her bandana gag so that Benji can hear where she's at. And Benji comes into the cabin, but then, holy cow, Lane just goes to work on him.
Oh, yeah.
Benji gets in one good hit with the bottle, but then after that, it's just all Lane. It's so brutal, man. Lane gets him back up on the noose. And Lane even says before he starts attacking Benji, he's like, you're not going to want to see this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how brutal this is going to be. So while Benji's getting his ass handed to him, you see this quick shot of Ilsa kind of working to untie her restraints. And then we're back with Ethan, and he's still in pursuit of Walker, but now Ethan's chopper is starting to die because of the damage that it's taken. But he's just trying to get there before the thing completely collapses on him. Then we're back in Lane's cabin, and now Ilsa stands up with the chair attached to her and does this crazy jump backwards towards the table to break the chair that looks painful as hell.
Could have broke her back.
Yeah, but it works, and she's free of everything, and then she starts fighting Lane, and in the meantime manages to kick a box under Benji's feet so he doesn't choke to death. It's just, she is just leaps and bounds the better fighter than Benji is.
Right.
So then we're back to Ethan again, of course, and just before his chopper completely dies, he finally manages to crash it into Walker's, which, of course, would kill them both immediately.
Death.
But this is a movie, so we'll allow it. So the two crash into the snow that's high up on this mountain, and then we're back to Ilsa, who is, holding up pretty well against Lane. Eventually, she kind of like chokes him out, not killing him, choking him, but just sort of blacking him out, just in time for her to reach up and cut the noose on Benji, and Benji falls to the floor, and he's suddenly able to breathe and
hits that head pretty hard, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing that I didn't like about this scene, and I know why they did it, because Lane ultimately has to see his plan fail.
Right.
But Ilsa's job was to kill him. So,
and she never does.
No. And I mean, we get some payoff with that in the end, but
Right.
if she'd truly been doing what she was there to do, she would have just, okay, now that I've got him tied up, after I'm done with, we have thwarted your plans, but by now, and that's it.
Right.
That's what I wanted to see.
Well, then the movie's over.
Well, but I mean,
Mostly.
the movie was over at that point. They saved the world. She
Yeah.
could have easily put 2 bullets in his head
Yeah.
and been done with it.
Yeah, yeah. So then we're back on the mountain, and Walker is just kind of sitting there, kind of in a trance, just kind of got the 1,000-yard stare, just trying to recover from this crash, when suddenly his cockpit just starts rolling down the decline, and it's headed straight for Ethan's helicopter. And once again, Ethan cannot get out of a seatbelt. This is another new thing that has now repeated itself in multiple Mission Impossible movies, where seatbelts work a little bit better than they should, actually.
Right. Well, and then we're going to get, the helicopters go crashing down, and we get a replay of the truck from earlier in the alley with 2 helicopter bodies instead of a truck.
Right. Yeah, the helicopters go over the edge, and they're wedged in that big crack in the rock. And this is just bonkers. This whole sequence of events, this hose detaches that's got some sort of hot fluid in it.
Well, it was basically the engine coolant, but it was or oil. It was at temperature,
right,
and burns his face,
right, disfigures Walker. And then we see Ethan being Ethan and crazy. He unlocks this. Finally, he's able to unlock a seatbelt now.
Right.
So he unlocks his seatbelt and lets himself fall towards Walker to try and get the detonator. But then the cockpit that they're in unseats itself from the rock and starts rolling again. And they're rolling, and the camera's inside the cabin, and it's just chaos. And suddenly Ethan flies out of the cabin, and we don't quite know where he is. And then the rest of the chopper goes over the edge of the cliff, but is then saved by this trailer rope thing.
It basically was the hook that was holding the parcel.
That's right. The thing that was holding the
big old bundle of exposition. So it's hanging there.
But then we're back on the ground, and Luther is telling Julia to go be with her husband. He then starts walking Benji and Ilsa through the process of defusing the bomb. Then we're back to the mountain, and now Ethan is laying face down on the top of this giant cliff thing. This amazing location that they found.
Right.
Which is just unbelievable. So kudos to the team who found that. So then we see Ethan lying face down on the top of this cliff, and he starts to get up, and we see Walker, and then we see the detonator a ways away from both of them. And somehow or another, they keep fighting. They start fighting again. It's like, we're now in silly action movie territory.
Hell yeah.
So they start fighting, and the fight is kind of interesting, though, because all Walker's trying to do is kill Ethan, and all Ethan's trying to do is get to the detonator.
Right.
So it's weird, because since they have different priorities, it works kind of strangely a little bit for a little while. And somehow, during this fight, they go over the edge. But, of course, miraculously, the detonator is still just kind of teetering at the top of this flat rock area, but just on the very edge. So now Ethan is hanging onto the rope, with Walker hanging onto him, and the chopper is dangling also by the rope that's hooked onto the rock, which is now starting to break. So, got it? Okay. So then Ethan, being the smart one, finds his way to the rock face, so he's not dependent on the rope, and because Ethan's he's a rock climber. We know this from Mission Impossible 2.
That's right.
So he's trying to climb up this rock face, and then we get this wide shot that shows absolutely how insane and perfectly straight up and down this.
Oh, I know.
It's
almost 100% vertical.
Yeah, it's
a sheer rock face.
Yeah, it's like, okay, sure. So at this point, Walker then goes to the rock face as well. But then as Walker's kind of trying to chase Ethan, that's when Ethan starts looking at the rope, and he knows that the rope is kind of jiggling, and he's like, okay. And so that's when Ethan just yanks on the rope as hard as he can. The rock breaks. The hook starts hauling ass off the cliff and comes down and knocks Walker right in the face and sends him to his death.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
But it's not over, kids, because now Ethan has to try and scale this insane rock face in time to pull out the pin before Benji and Luther cut the final wires of the bomb. Okay. So then Luther and Benji, we're back with them, and they start arguing over whether or not Ethan's going to get the detonator. And Luther is just kind of team Ethan, just have faith.
Well, and he's kind of like, what difference does it make?
What difference? We're dead otherwise, no matter what. Yeah. So there. And also, he always gets it. Ethan always gets it done.
Exactly.
And then, of course, they bicker again about, well, on 2 or on 1? 1's cutting it pretty close. I don't know. Finally, they decide on 1, and then they just close their eyes and cut it, and it's big, light dissolve. But of course, it's not a bomb. It's just the sun.
Sun coming up over Ethan on the mountain.
Up over Ethan on the mountain, who is now still not all the way up the mountain, but he's hanging there with the detonator in his mouth.
The detonator key in his mouth, the detonator in his hand, one hand holding onto the rock face.
Right. He spits that out and chucks the detonator. And
oh, that's great.
And then we get that, of course, from Luther, my man. And I will say, I really... and maybe it's just because when I was doing my notes for this, it was kind of late at night, and I get a little more emotional when I'm tired, but like, when Ethan finally gets up onto the rock finally, and the music from Lorne Balfe kicks in, it is such a great track. It left me kind of emotional, like, because they're all just so relieved from this moment where none of them knew at any given second whether they were going to live or die the very next second.
Right.
And I mean, Benji and Ilsa are practically crying with each other that they're still alive.
Right.
And it's just, I think it's just a really good moment. Hooray, save the day. And finally, we see from Ethan's POV, it's all kind of cloudy, or that's what it is. We then see the chopper come in.
Yeah, another third chopper.
Chopper, the emergency chopper, comes in to pick up Ethan, and he's helicoptered out of there. And then we get the POV of Ethan, where he starts seeing glimpses of Ilsa and Benji and Luther. I do like when they show Luther because he's like, move, move. Like, you don't hear him, but you could tell that's what he's saying. And then finally, Julia is standing over him as he's now in a hospital gurney type thing. And he wakes up, and then Julia's husband is there, and he's like, you're lucky to be alive, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because at the end of he's like, doctor, wink, wink, wink.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Right.
And he's like, your friends helped. Your friends helped
she came in right the heels of half of the Indian army.
Yeah. And there she is. It actually was a little surprising that the head of the CIA
just shows up
in Kashmir for this event.
Right.
To kind of save the day or what have you. But she walks out, and then we get this really emotional moment where, Ethan keeps apologizing. Well, Ethan loves to apologize, but he's apologizing to Julia for kind of altering her entire life because of the lifestyle that he has chosen. But she's trying to sort of, gloss it over. It's a good moment. It's a really good moment where she's sort of trying to say, well, look at what you've enabled me to do now. Now
look at who I am because of the things that have happened to us. I'm living my best life now.
Right.
Because of you.
Exactly. Then she goes off with her husband, and then the team comes in. And then we get, it's interesting that this VO comes from Sloan. That sort of wraps everything up in a nice little bow here. But the VO from Sloan that's directed at Ethan, saying that Lane was sent back to MI6 at your request through a broker, of course.
Of course.
And then we see a quick shot of the White Widow. And then she also mentions that closes the account between Ilsa and MI6. And then Ilsa kind of comes over, and we get that this is the closest to lovey-dovey that Ilsa and Ethan have certainly ever shown on screen. Ethan's kind of touching her face, and she's kind of leaning into it, and okay. And now Ilsa kind of knows, well, hey, he's single.
Yeah.
So
he's not committed anymore.
That's right.
Hey-ya.
But anyway, the Sloan VO continues and talking about the value of the IMF and how, he's...
And you see what Hunley was saying.
About caring
I'm a convert.
That's right.
Blah, blah, blah.
So I'm going to reinstate the IMF.
And then I'll become the director.
I'll become the secretary.
And then I'll die.
Exactly. And of course, the last lines of the film are, Benji and just good old Benji and Ethan doing their thing. How close were we? The usual.
That close, huh?
Yeah. And that's pretty much it, except for Ethan saying, "Don't make me laugh, my ribs hurt."
Right.
And then we're done.
And
And
yay!
Yay! And that, my friends, is Mission Impossible Fallout.
Whew. Can I just say, I hope we don't get a lot of fallout about our review.
But, we've been reassessing our rankings of the Mission Impossible movies after each one of these reviews, and mine has changed, and I think yours has changed with every single review we've done.
Well,
or maybe it's just that you're reminded of what's good in each of these different movies.
I started off thinking that this one was my favorite, and it's still my favorite. But every time I saw one from Bourne, man, I like this one better.
Yeah.
But now I'm back to this one, and I'm like, nope, I like this one best.
I gotta say, my rankings have changed, but not because of this movie. I still think now, I got to admit, I still think that my favorite now is Rogue Nation.
Okay.
And I think a lot of it has to do with the tone. For me, Rogue Nation's tone hits just the right thing. This one feels so serious, so dead on serious. And that doesn't mean that I actually probably think that Fallout is a better movie in general. But I just think that when it comes down to it, if I'm looking at the movies on my shelf, the one I'm going to go to the most now is probably going to be Rogue Nation. Okay. Because it just has the right fun tone. It's the right amount of serious and funny. There's all that great like buddy cop energy from Ethan and Benji midway through the movie. And then Ilsa just looks spectacular, and she's kind of the focal point of that movie, which works really great for me.
Sure.
But overall, this movie is just fantastic. I mean, it's so well put together. This is when, everything is working about as good as you can work a Mission Impossible movie. So if I had to rank them now, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think it goes Rogue Nation on top, then Fallout, then Ghost Protocol, then 1, then 3, then 2. So I think that's my ranking now. I think that's where I land with my final rankings going into Dead Reckoning.
I think mine goes in reverse order of appearances, but I would switch 2 at the bottom and 1 as number 5 on the list.
Right. That's fair.
Sure, it's woo as fuck.
It's woo as fuck. I still got love for...
if you want to rank it on John Woo movies, it probably goes a little bit higher.
Yeah.
But as far as Mission Impossible movies go, it's my least favorite.
It's my least favorite, but at the same time, again, we brought this up a long time ago, but I see Mission Impossible 2 as having that same fun energy as A View to a Kill, in that I know it's a ridiculous movie, but I enjoy the ridiculous movie.
That's fair. That's fair.
But this movie's unbelievable. But hey, what is your opinion of this movie, tens of listeners? What do you think? You should get in touch. If there's one thing that we continually try and hit you with, is that we love listener interaction here at the CIC.
Absolutely.
So please let us know what you thought of the movie, what you thought of our review, whether we were right on, whether we were way off. We want to know either way. On email, it's cicdeaddrop@gmail.com. On Instagram, it's Central Intelligence Cinema, separated by underscores. Or on Twitter, @CIC SpyPod. We're also on Facebook. And you can find the links to all of those at the bottom of the show description of this very episode that you're listening to. So please, let us know. Give us some feedback. And hey, if you enjoy the podcast, there's another way to give us feedback. You could always give us a glowing, sparkly, effervescent 5-star review on whichever podcast platform that you tend to listen to your podcast, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or who knows.
Hey, if you want to be crazy, copy and paste. Hit them all.
That's right. Hit them all. But let us know, because that helps our show get seen faster when people search for #SillySpyShit. But I think we've talked well enough, don't you think?
Yep.
Alrighty then. Well, with that, I'm Ben.
And I'm Jason.
And the CIC will return with more missions, more martinis,
and more mayhem.